Saturday afternoon shootout is on the air. Warning, although the information expressed on the show has been researched by our staff, it may not be correct. All opinions made by the hosts or their guests are theirs alone and should not be considered legal advice. Be sure to consult an attorney before attempting anything you hear on the show. Just because we say it on the internet doesn't mean it will stand up in court. Now, here are your hosts.
You say you want a revolution, well, you know, we all want to change the world.
Love the Beatles.
You tell me that it's evil.
You can't beat them.
You could beat them with a stick or...
Only two of them. Well, I guess you could dig up the other ones.
I could. Yeah. I'd have to find a shovel.
Well, we played that because, is it time? Is it time for a revolution? I don't think so.
No, not yet.
But I hear a lot of chitter chatter on the social medias.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying
talking about, and it's time to.
They're getting
fight
pissed.
Back.
They're getting pissed. That's for sure. I don't know if we want to do that. There's lots of things we can do first, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, we still have elections coming.
Yeah.
A couple of years. 2014 is the next big one. I think we need to fight hard on that front first. Obviously, I'm not even close to being ready for any sort of violent revolt.
No,
but like you said, I have seen more and more chatter in forums, and
I think people are stocking up.
People definitely are stocking up. I mean,
I think
we have shows about it, with the doomsday preppers and whatever, with to the extreme.
Yeah, but that's not always about a revolution. That's natural disasters and things like that.
Oh yeah. But they're stocking guns and ammo too.
But we're getting a lot of people that are buying guns, buying ammo, putting away food, saving dollars, hoarding gold and silver, preparing for what could be something quite ugly. But I don't think it'll happen. We've had rougher times than this. It's just that since Roosevelt, maybe we haven't had a president that's been so anti-constitution and so anti-human rights than I can remember.
Yeah, probably not. And it is getting worse. I mean, that's the thing to look at.
Well, he's not so much hiding his agenda now.
Well, he has no reason to. He's not going to have to campaign for election again.
Right.
And an interesting thing, I just saw that his campaign was fined for infractions that they had with campaign funds. They finally got a fine. So I don't know who's paying that.
You mean the first time around or this time? For this time?
For 2009. Yeah.
Okay.
Same.
Yeah, he seems to get a pass on everything.
Yeah, for sure. But it's weird because the fines just come out of the donation money anyway. So it's like, what's the point really? But it was small compared to the amount of money he had in his campaign. It was like the fines were around like $1.8 million. So that's really nothing. But
not for him. He's
Well, no, the fine was only a couple $100,000.
Oh.
I'm saying the money that was
that's
questionable was around $1.8 million. So do want to mention we're live now. So if you want to call in, we do have some goodies. If you have something worthwhile to add to the show.
If we feel that you're worthy, we'll work with producer here, get your name and address, and we'll send you a gift card.
Yep, the number is 810-208-1854.
What's the number?
810-208-1854. Give us a call.
It's also scrolling on the screen.
It should be scrolling on the screen. I don't have it up. I don't like to look at myself as much as you do.
Well, I guess I want to say, you didn't let me say this, but I'd like to say, welcome to the show. We're here on Flint Talk Radio. We want to thank Flint Talk Radio, broadcasting on the 15th floor of the Wilson Building in the heart of Vehicle City, downtown Flint. Today we're going to talk about some proposed national and state gun bans, all this hyperbole after the shootings. We're looking at the published CPL holders information in a New York newspaper. Will David Gregory get arrested for his felony on national television? And of course more.
No.
Right? No, I don't think he will either. But
he hasn't yet.
Speaking of Gregory, Obama was on Meet the Press, and he had some things to say about his agenda for gun control laws.
Yeah, this was the
got some
last
sound
year, I
clips.
believe. So yeah, David Gregory basically said, "Do you have what it takes, for this fight on gun control?"
Political fortitude to do this.
And here is Obama.
Anybody who was up in Newtown, who talked to the parents, who talked to the families, understands that something fundamental in America has to change. And all of us have to do some soul searching, including me as president, that we allow a situation in which 20 precious small children are getting gunned down in a classroom. And I've been very clear that an assault rifle ban, banning these high-capacity clips, background checks, that there are a set of issues that I have historically supported and will continue to support. But can you get it done?
Yeah, and David Gregory says, "Can you get it done?" And he says he'll work very hard to get it done in this first year. Joe Biden had came out and he told the mayor in New York or New Jersey or something, told him that they'd have it done by February this year.
Yeah, I don't think so. The other thing is, soul searching. They're making it. It's hyperbole. They're making it sound these school shootings happen, every day. And yeah, I think they can do something, and I think they can soul search. And I think what they should do is damn it, get rid of gun-free zones.
This term is soul searching. It's something the left seems to grasp hold of all the time. What the hell does that mean? What does that mean?
It's a Rahm Emanuel, don't let a good tragedy go to waste, and
that's the
use your emotions.
That's a communist strategy.
Well, he's a communist.
I know.
It's an emotional thing. It's look deep inside your soul.
Let me.
Do you want these 20 children to be murdered every single day because we have 30-round clips?
Clips. No, let me get back to my thing. We can take care of this today, right now, and that is every state allows those that have CPLs, teachers, staff, parents, to carry their firearm concealed or open in the classrooms and in the schools, and you won't have mass shootings. Now, you might have a gunman that comes in there and starts shooting, but when you have 5 or 6 people returning fire, I think that's going to be a deterrent.
There's definitely the possibility that somebody could stop the shooter before it gets as bad as something like in Connecticut or in the Aurora Theater.
It's a big possibility. I just looked at a statistic.
Yeah.
At 100 mass shootings, when you wait for the police to arrive, there's an average of 14 people that are killed. When there is an armed civilian present during a attempted mass murder, the number of people are killed are 2.4.
Yeah.
We have data and statistics that we can look at and use it as examples in an argument that when you have armed people fighting back, less people die. And it's not rocket science. Take the emotion out of it. It's pure logic and numbers. It works, and I don't care what people say, oh, we don't want more guns. No, what we don't want is we don't want more madmen going into gun-free zones where there's nobody going to stop them and they can kill people until the police arrive, where either the police kill them or they blow their own brains out. That's got to stop. That mentality hasn't worked in 40 years.
Yeah, and David Gregory, the follow-up question here, after he says, can you get it done, and Obama says, of course I can because I'm the Messiah, but people like the NRA say that gun control will do nothing. It won't help. Assault weapons bans won't help. And Obama's response was, something has to work.
Yeah. I would say gun control is murder. I've always said that. I've written articles on allowing guns in gun-free zones. That is the most inexpensive, fastest logical fix to this problem of having people going into these little slaughter zones where no one's allowed to carry a friggin' gun except the crazy madman and stop these bastards dead in their tracks. You got to do that. You got to do it. It's not, like I said, it's not rocket science.
Yeah. Well, and I've brought this up before. The shooting at the mall in Oregon was stopped because a man who apparently didn't see the no guns allowed sign was in the mall carrying concealed.
Or maybe he did see it and
didn't see it because he doesn't have any charges.
You think that he actually saw a sign and still disregarded it? Are you saying that?
No. No. Because it was written probably on this list of rules in the mall, like the one in Saginaw.
All right. Regardless of whether he saw it, it doesn't matter.
He is really what stopped that shooting, because the guy saw him, ran around the corner, and shot himself in the head. I mean...
Yeah. Well, listen, we always say you don't see these mass murders going on in police stations, gun shows, all that. As a matter of fact, shortly after the Sandy Hook shooting, a guy was in a police station. He wrestled a police officer, got his gun, and started shooting it up. And guess what? Nobody died. A couple of people were wounded, and they killed the guy because all the cops had guns, and they shot the son of a bitch.
Yep.
And that's the idea. Would you rather have 20 people die or 1 or 2 people die? It's tragic in any situation. But if you're looking at the pure numbers, if you want to save lives, you allow lawful people to carry guns. And I don't want to hear the crap about, well, who's saying that this lawful person doesn't go crazy? That's true. A person could go crazy all of a sudden. I don't know of any case where a CPL holder has shot up a school. It's not out there. But the thing is, if you allow other people in there, there's going to be 5 or 6 other people that didn't go crazy at that time that can stop that crazy law-abiding citizen if they should all of a sudden zombify and become crazy.
Exactly.
That's it. It's a check and balance.
That's why having one armed guard at a school isn't ideal either, because he could be the crazy guy, or he could be taken out first, which is what tends to happen in those situations.
Right, because you know who it is. But when you have 8 or 9 people in a school that are carrying concealed and nobody knows who it is, you don't know who to take out.
Yep.
The other thing is, if you want to spend money and you don't want to let your teachers be armed, by God, at least get a bulletproof vest and put it in every classroom where there's teachers. And at least the teacher can put on that vest, and if confronted with a madman, can at least have a little bit of protection to try to fight and wrestle the gun away. They can put on the vest, take care of the children, and do what they have to do. But at least it's better than their thin little skin.
Yeah. Did you see what the chief of police of Waterbury, Connecticut did recently? Well, it was right after the shooting, I think, but he suspended all of the permits in the city for gun shows. And they had gun shows scheduled for the beginning or middle of this month.
And that accomplished what?
Well, crazy people aren't going to be able to buy guns through the gun show loophole.
Yeah.
You know that loophole?
Yeah, that doesn't exist.
Loophole, I mean law.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just absurd. I mean, those kind of things are happening. That police chiefs and
keep in mind,
the media, everything's blowing it out of proportion.
I've looked at the numbers out of school shootings in since 1940s. There have been about 17 where 3 or more people have been killed, and I'm including the shooter that killed himself. So 3 people or more, 17 in the last 60 or 70 years. It's not like they happen all the time.
Right.
They're not that common. But the point is that if they are going to happen, and they will happen again, because you don't allow people to have firearms in those schools. The thing is, law-abiding citizens, they've had the background check. They've had some training. They know, what they're doing in that regard. A person that's set on going in there and wrecking mayhem, they don't care about the laws. They're going to get a gun any way they want. And, it doesn't even have to be a gun, but let's go with the gun. They're going to get one. There's 350 million guns in the country. You're not going to get rid of the gun. So the solution is, let's not ban and lock the door after in there. Let's put some sheepdog in with the sheep. Simple.
Very simple. Makes sense.
You're never going to get rid of the wolves, right?
There are no logical arguments against it. I haven't heard any anyway, but
it's ridiculous. But anyways, Obama, the answer is an assault ban weapon. Because the other thing I looked at too, you look at the number of murders with rifles over the last 8 or 9 years. It's been around 400 or 500 murders. More people have been killed with hammers and fists. I looked up blunt objects. I looked up, and with just killing people per year with your hands is around 1,000 a year, where people have choked or beaten people to death with their bare hands. That's more than have been killed by rifles every year.
Yep.
If you want to save lives for kids, you ban swimming pools, you ban medical malpractice, you don't take them to the doctor. You don't let them drive in cars, you don't take them to swimming pools. You want to save lives, you take those things away. But everybody goes, well, oh, those provide good things. Yeah, and so do firearms.
Yep.
That's the point. They are allowed because they do more good than they do harm. Everything's going to be harmful at some point. Everything.
Yeah, that's the point. You could take any object or
But
lack
you
of
look at
object
the
and
big
make it
picture
dangerous.
and you say more people are saved by medicine than are harmed by it. So we don't ban medicine. We accept those losses as part of,
we just regulate the hell out of it.
well,
You know what's really bizarre about all this is that most people who are even consider themselves rational get so tied up about guns,
Yeah.
and they just don't look at the fact that all life is a series of trade-offs. When you get to be an adult, you understand it's a
life
series
is a
of
risk.
trade-offs.
Life is a risk. There's risks, and there's little risks and there's big risks, and firearms are a small risk when you look at the total number that are out there. What's surprising, and I hate to say this, what's surprising is there aren't more deaths by firearms. And that's the other thing, people, is when you look at the number of firearms ownership, that's gone way up, and the number of deaths by firearm is going down.
Yeah.
So the correlation is more guns, less death. It seems counterintuitive, but it's not. The statistics are there. Why? Because people are getting safer. They're locking their guns up. They're taking training. There's all these things. Deaths go down.
Just look at going to any sporting goods shop in the areas you live at. You go there and they got gun safes. 30 years ago, 35 years ago, they were like a specialty item. You had to go to a gun shop which had guns and would sell the safes and the vaults. You know, now you got them everywhere.
Well, now you have Dick's Sporting Goods and things not willing to sell black scary firearms anymore because of this Connecticut shooting.
Well, I have a piece
which
on
is pretty absurd.
that relates to that. Let me do this real quick. Dana Safety Supply is another vendor that supplies rifles and things like that. They're no longer going to sell guns to civilians, no longer self-loading rifles. We're going to reserve those rifles only for law enforcement agencies. And they've issued this statement. As of December 26, Dana Safety Supply will no longer sell semi-automatic rifles to non-law enforcement individuals. The parent company of Dana Safety Supply has adopted this new policy effective on the aforementioned date. We value the business of all our customers, obviously not, and we trust that you will support us as we transition. Well, lots of companies are starting to do that now. What I love is this sheriff in Oconee County, Georgia, wrote this, and he buys from them. He says, Dear Dana, while I have done business in the past with DSS and found them to be an excellent source of products that we buy, however, I shall send them this email. Dear sirs, it is my understanding that you have stopped selling self-loading firearms to members of the general public in favor of selling them to law enforcement officers only. I deeply regret that decision. As such, this agency will no longer seek bids from or purchase anything from you. Thank you for your time and attention, Sheriff Scott Berry.
Yeah, and it's good to see a sheriff or any police officer step up and kind of have the backs of just normal citizens. Like, police officers aren't just normal private citizens.
And that's just it. I mean, the police chiefs have done surveys, and that 70 to 90% of police officers support the Second Amendment and the individual right to keep and bear arms.
Well, they know it makes their job easier, safer. I mean, you know, that's obvious. I had another a pretty funny story that I saw. It was from Belleville, Illinois, I think. There were a few officers eating in Denny's restaurant. Yeah. At least one of the female officers was out of uniform.
No, they all were. They were all out of uniform.
They all were. The female was carrying openly. They probably all were, but
yeah.
And they had a manager, a supervisor.
They had badges too that were like clipped on their belts and stuff and around their neck.
Yeah, so it was obviously were police officers. Manager came over and said, "You're either going to have to put the gun in your car or leave."
Customer complained.
Because a customer complained, and I've been in that situation.
Oh yeah, me too.
And that company's out of business now. The one that I can think of, which is
the company I had was they follow all state law now. So, anyways,
yeah. So
they asked them to put their guns in their cars
or leave, right?
Well, they didn't. No, they didn't really say leave. They
said if you don't put it in your car, you can't be here.
You can't be here. Yeah, I guess.
But apparently they were embarrassed or whatever, and they decided to leave anyway. Another manager heard them complaining that they weren't going to pay their bills because of the service they had, and she said, "No, you can stay or whatever." And I guess they did finally leave.
No, she said you don't have to pay for your food If you,
Okay.
but you don't have to leave. You just have to put your guns in your car. Well, they're not going to do that, of course.
Okay, that's
what it
not
was.
what I saw, but all right. Anyway,
It is what you saw. You just didn't recollect it correctly.
no, that's not true. I know what I saw.
I have a photographic memory.
You have something. You have something.
Photographic memories.
Anyway, the police captain issued a statement basically prohibiting the officers,
Any officer.
from eating at this Denny's.
Yeah.
And they could only enter the Denny's if it was an official
Business.
investigation or
Yeah, they
complaint
got a
or
call,
whatever. Which is pretty funny. Denny's has come and said, now the manager was mistaken, it was miscommunication, and
Yeah.
we welcome all officers carrying firearms, uniformed or not.
Yeah.
So Denny's kind of backtracked it. And that was interesting because I know we've both been in the situation. We're not police officers, but we've definitely been in restaurants and places with, openly carried firearms. And I've been asked to leave a couple places. Most places not, but
Excuse me. Yeah,
it's funny when the tables are turned, and I'm not
and what's even
blaming the police here, but it's just
I've open carried in Denny's several times.
Yeah,
with
so have I.
Lansing with
So
never
have
a
I.
problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know what the hell's going on.
Maybe it was just a bias against police officers.
Well, it's Illinois.
That's
So,
the other thing.
They don't. They're not a big gun culture, depending on where Bellevue is in relation to Chicago.
That's the other thing. Yeah.
And we can talk about Illinois in a minute, but let's because they're trying to ban all guns. It's ridiculous. But David Gregory, host of Meet the Press, NBC reporter, anchor personality,
Worthless guy. Yeah.
a couple weeks ago, came on the show. Apparently had a 30-round magazine.
Yeah.
in his
During an
possession
interview with Wayne LaPierre,
in Washington D.C.
where 30-round clips are
Yeah.
illegal.
Right. And apparently, we're wondering when he's going to be arrested for a felony, which is what it is.
Yeah.
They arrest Marine veterans. They're comparing that. There was a guy that had a couple of bullets in a backpack that he didn't realize.
Yep, I saw
He
that.
got a felony, got reduced down to something else, but they did arrest him, prosecute him, cost him money. He's got a criminal record.
Yep.
And David Gregory on national television breaking the law and knowing it was illegal because apparently, according to sources there, that NBC producers or lawyers actually asked the city for permission to have the magazine, and they said no. Now I'm reading on some of the reports and blogs that there's some rumor that they may have had permission from the ATF.
Huh.
But nobody's come out and claimed that because that reporter reported that has asked them, is that true?
Yeah.
And they're saying, well, we don't know anything about that. So I doubt it's true.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Regardless, he committed the crime. And they're investigating it. What's they're investigating? They got taped evidence. They've got several witnesses. They've got correspondences between NBC and this police department. Looks like it's a slam dunk case to me.
Seems like it. I
If
mean,
they don't arrest him and charge him with this, well, boy, I'll just be upset.
yeah, what are you going to do?
I'll just say it again.
Stop watching NBC News.
Yeah, I'm going to be really mad.
Well, I mean, this points out because NBC is saying, or not NBC, but people who support NBC at least are saying, well, this is just a ridiculous law, so they shouldn't enforce it because obviously David Gregory wasn't intending to cause any harm, so this ridiculous law shouldn't apply.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's exactly the point.
Right.
That's my point. It's a ridiculous law, and somebody with an empty 30-round magazine might not be intending to do any harm with it. So why can't
it's a
they
piece of
possess
plastic? Yeah. As of Monday and Tuesday, I think they're still, police chief is not saying anything. They're not responding. Mr. Gregory hasn't been interviewed yet about this.
He won't be charged. It'll just get swept under the rug and forgotten about.
Well,
because
I don't know about that because David Cordora, who was the one that really investigated the Fast and Furious, he's a watchdog. He's a hound dog. He's a pit bull. I don't think he's the one that is working with the ATF on all this.
Yeah.
So he's investigating it, and he tends not to let these things go.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We'll see.
It's a double standard again.
It's not that I want to see anybody charged with a felony for possessing a 30-round clip in Washington, D.C.
Stop
but like
saying
I said,
that.
it's the double standard. I like 30
You're doing air
clips.
quotes, I know. I like certain clips of movies and stuff.
30 rounds of them.
30 rounds of clips.
It's good stuff.
Can we move on to the New York-based newspaper that published the names, addresses, and a Google map showing where these people live of handgun permit holders in several counties in New York? Should we not go into that?
No, yeah, let's do that. Was the Journal News?
You want to do it? Or?
Go ahead. No, you like to talk.
I do. I
love to listen to you talk.
I know it. You do. And you learn so much when I talk. You've told me that. He comes away from the show and he goes, I just learned so much when I'm around you.
That's exactly what I know. What I go away saying as I work hard to get my IQ back up where it was when we started.
Huh. I'm like a second father. I'm a mentor.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm not the God to you, but I'm a God to you.
No.
What I need is more tribute from you. So
I have to work on that.
$10 bills will work.
Work on that. Yeah, we can talk about that.
Anyways, apparently in New York, this information is public, and this newspaper thought it would be really cute to let everybody know where all these gun permit guys are, girls and guys. So they publish it in the paper, and boy, the old hit the fan thingy, and the NRA said, this is really stupid because now people know if they want to steal a gun, they know that there might be a gun at this address. So that helps them pinpoint where the guns may be. And then it also lets them know where the guns aren't.
Yeah.
So they can rob the neighbor of the person that has a gun permit next door. So really stupid. And even some professional journalist institutes have come out and said, just because it's public information, you don't need to publish it. This doesn't offer any kind of
There's a lot of things that are public information that there's no reason to publish them.
So they really chastised the group in this paper, and there was you were mentioning there were some bloggers and some pro-gun people that did what? They actually published.
They put together this big crowdsourcing effort and get information from everybody on the internet. There's a lot of people on the internet. Got mining. Names, addresses, phone numbers, all
of the staff
information of the staff at the Journal News. Posted it in a similar fashion with an interactive Google map. You could click on it and
go to their house.
You could look at satellite images of their house.
Oh, they're barbecuing. Look at that.
They're not live.
But you could see a picture of somebody barbecuing.
Yeah, possibly.
Oh, there's a swimming pool.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the doggy crossing the road.
So
look, a squirrel.
And the Journal News didn't like that so much, I guess.
No,
they thought that wasn't fair. So.
That's not.
And they went ahead and hired armed guards.
Yes, they did.
To protect the headquarters of the paper.
The newspaper actually hired they hired a professional security company to.
It was Rockland or something. It was from one of the county that they were in, I think. But that's where they were. A security company. They hired armed guards to be there, I think, 24/7 to protect the headquarters and any staff that are inside.
I love this too because they get a taste of what citizens feel like. They complained to their local police department about it. Their police said, well, there's really nothing we can do about it.
Well, yeah, I saw that they did make two...
It did not constitute...
Two reports...
An offense, they said.
That they thought were threatening. One of them was an email from someone that said, I hate to see this kind of stuff you're going to get in the mail now. And it didn't seem like it was really a threat. It was somebody pointing out that you screwed up and, hang on for the ride because most Americans aren't going to like this. Luckily, some of the leaders of the third county that they released the information from two counties, and they were trying to get the data for gun owners or pistol permits from, I think it was Putnam County. And
they got turned down.
Yeah, their city council, or the clerk anyway, said no.
So I don't know what the frick the people at this newspaper, let's say who they are. Who are they? What's the paper?
Journal News. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, TJN.
The Journal News.
The Journal News.
Sure.
That is. Anyways, they're being idiots, and they're putting gasoline on the fire.
And I think they're under Gannett News or something.
Like that.
Gannett. I like Gannett.
I like Gannett too, but it's Gannett. See, that's something you learned
Gannett.
from me.
Yeah. No, I didn't learn that from you. That's worth no proof of that.
That's worth a 10 spot.
You have no proof that it's.
Anyways, you shouldn't really do that. I mean, if it. And then the other guy that came on TV said that gun owners were the same as pedophiles. Pedophiles. That's the word I wanted. Here's that $10.
I was going to let you go.
Yeah, you were letting me hang myself.
I was.
and other guys were saying, these gun owners should be killed and executed, and NRA members should be killed. I mean, these are the same people that want to reduce violence in the world.
Well, look at where the
by getting rid of guns.
I mean, that's
oh my
another
God.
Point. The violence, the racism, the hatred, it comes from the left. It comes from the anti-gun. It comes from the higher taxes groups. It doesn't come
historically, the Democratic Party was the racist party. They had the most KKK members, were the ones that implemented most of the
that were opposing the Civil Rights Acts and things. Yeah, it was the Democrats, but that's not how history's been written, and that's not what kids are learning.
It's amazing. Nobody challenges the Democrats, ironclad grip over the minorities in this country. I'm sorry, I got mine turned out real low too.
I know, but just you don't have to be so close.
Just your headphones.
I'm not close.
My headphones.
It's just your headphones.
Okay,
stop it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think it's weird to get. Yeah, the KKK. All the members of the KKK I ever ran into were members of the Democratic Party.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never met a Republican KKK member.
And I'm sure they exist.
Yeah, I'm sure
they don't.
I'm sure
exist,
so too, but
majority.
When you're categorizing people, that's how it breaks down. I mean, generally, the violence, the hatred, the racism, it's on the left. That's where it comes from, and that's never reported. That's just how it is.
Well, if you look at it,
why am I getting feedback?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go. That's a lot better.
Wow, we made a deal before I agreed to come here with you today that you wouldn't complain.
He just cut my mic off.
I did. And I like him for that.
I know. You two worked this out before. All right. Let's see. Anyways, you shouldn't do that. We're not. We're not all pedophiles. We're not criminals.
Well, obviously, that comparison.
I mean, to compare,
is ridiculous.
And they were comparing it. Yeah. Well, they published sex offenders. Wouldn't you like to know if your neighbor owns guns? Why? I don't care if he owns a purple shirt.
No.
I mean, if it's lawful, I don't care what he's doing.
I don't. Yeah,
it's not the same. You can't equate a convicted criminal to a law-abiding gun owner. It does not compute.
Yep. Yeah, that's
no matter what you feel.
Yeah, I had something brilliant to say, and now I lost it.
It'll come back to you because you're just brilliant. No, it will.
A couple minutes away from you, my IQ will raise back up, and then it'll come back. But
I'm driving back with you in the car.
No, you're not.
Oh.
Nope.
Better arrange something then. We can go into Illinois and their fantastic proposed bill that passed the Senate committee. Imagine this: their anti-gun governor and Rahm Emanuel, the mayor of Chicago, who's anti-gun, were both very pleased with this. They're going to ban all assault weapons and high-capacity ammunition magazines. Some proposals where you wouldn't be grandfathered and you had to turn them in. Some saying you were grandfathered but you had to register your guns. There was some, and it wasn't just, and it included, well, the NRA looked at their bill and it said it would include 75% of all handguns and 50% of all long guns in circulation today would fall under their definition of assault weapon.
Wow.
So if you hunters are out there been sitting on your ass saying, nobody should have handguns and nobody should have assault rifles, you should just have deer rifles and my bird shotgun, and as long as they don't come for those, I'm just going to sit here and... Well, they're coming for those now, people. They're coming for those. And like it or not, we need all of you FUDs out there that are sitting on your asses saying they're never going to come for my... Am I not winning friends?
No.
Sitting on your asses out there saying, they're not coming for my gun, so I don't care. They're coming for your guns.
Yeah, when that happens, I mean, I'd like to point out that people like you and I and thousands of other people who have been fighting for all firearm rights have been saying this
decades.
For years. We've been saying, yeah, you have your hunting rifle, you have your shotgun. It's just a matter of time. If you don't push back now, it's just a matter of time before they start coming for what you have.
1 inch.
Nope.
Because they want the whole mile.
Yeah. And they vowed to do it this year. So I mean,
they're going to try. And if you look
at a federal level,
if you look at the national one, it's just as onerous.
Feinstein's bill.
Yeah, she's saying things like almost the same thing, except you'll be grandfathered in, but you'll have to register your handgun. But when you die, your gun will have to be turned over and destroyed. You won't be able to pass on your great grandfather's hunting rifle to your grandkids. or to your children, because that will be illegal.
So you register it while you're still living,
And then when you
once you're
die,
gone, you do not pass
that gun
on.
is destroyed.
Yep. And the hope is that eventually all guns that fall under this assault weapons ban, which are most, will
Right.
be destroyed, and
That's what
couple
they want to do.
generations, and we'll have nothing.
This is not, this is trying to get rid of all guns all the time. And what they're finding out is that, it's impossible to do that. Gun control does not work.
And the more chilling thing about this is the NDAA exists now, the National Defense Authorization Act.
Yeah. Yep.
And draconian laws that they got to have, they're going to use that as a draconian measure.
Yeah.
So they're-
They've been trying to disarm veterans now for, a few years. So,
Yeah, through things like the VA
Right.
asking them if they own firearms,
or,
when they show up
do you
for an
feel
appointment or
depressed?
something.
Are you, do you ever feel, bad? And
Yeah, the post-traumatic stress stuff.
Right.
That's everyone's being labeled with that comes back from combat, and no more guns. And that's
so
that's the plan.
these poor bastards that come back, they want to seek mental health. They're afraid to do it because they know they're going to lose their firearms. That's more important to them than getting help.
Well,
I don't
because
blame 'em.
they know how important having a firearm to protect yourself, your country
And
is.
and for sports and hunting and
Well,
target
sure,
shooting and
there's
all that stuff.
Yeah, of course.
So
of course.
I've said, and people say, well, the Second Amendment, that was written when there was muskets. Well, that's when the infantryman had a musket as well.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, I want to be able to own the same weapons that our military and our police can own. That seems fair and reasonable.
Yeah, and this is something that I've brought up because I keep hearing people
Give
say
me the same arms that they can
that
carry.
say, yeah, guns, knives, Second Amendment covers those. Obviously, the Second Amendment isn't intended to let a citizen own an RPG, and I completely disagree with that. I don't think you can be more wrong, and there's no argument that's going to prove to me that you cannot be more wrong.
Don't say more wrong. There's no
There are gradations of more wrong, just
No.
like a 30-round clip.
No. That's
You could
it's
be
either
more
wrong.
right.
It's either wrong or it's right. It's not more wrong or more right.
The
Now,
point is, like you said, the Second Amendment was intended to allow citizens to fight back, for one, against a tyrannical government, and to fight with similar or the same weaponry that government will have.
that was the frickin' idea. I mean, if you want to take it to extremes and illogical, you can say the same thing about the First Amendment and your ability to use a computer to transmit your ideas and your free speech.
Well, I mean, that's the argument, is that the First Amendment doesn't give you the right to yell fire in a theater.
It does.
I think it does, but I think there's been cases.
You can do that. You can yell fire in a theater. It happens a lot.
Yeah, and I guess you're not charged with, with
First Amendment is,
creating. Yeah.
if there's damage, you're responsible for the damage that it caused. Remember, there's lots of theater productions where they yell fire on stage.
Yeah.
That's an exemption or exception to that. I mean, so
No, I'm with you. I'm just saying that's the argument. Is the
But
First Amendment?
I think it's simpler,
why
though.
wouldn't the second be limited?
Let's go back to handwritten communications and Pony Express and handset printing presses.
And I agree that making a simple argument is a good idea, but you have to be able to fight back against the arguments that are posed to us.
And what's really scary and what people aren't realizing as well, and people say, well, I'm not a criminal, so I don't have to worry about this. And, once they go after the Second Amendment, which is that's their grand prize, is to get rid of civilians having
It's
firearms.
the one that protects all the others, right? That's the intention.
There are so many law enforcement people now, and so many courts, and so many politicians now that want to do away with the Fourth Amendment, the search and seizures. We should be able to go into your house, search your person, and do whatever we want in the face of safety and fighting crime. And it's happening. In New York City, they have the stop and frisk, and no one has challenged that. They can go up and stop anybody and patch your balls looking for whatever they want, and they do it all the time. And guess how much crime it's stopped? Almost none.
I'm going to guess none. Yeah.
Almost none. They're doing this now. You go onto the subway now, and they have inspection bag counters set up, and they can randomly pick you and search your bag. I mean, Jesus Christ, where the hell happened to our Fourth Amendment?
Well, I mean,
In Indiana, their state Supreme Court said law enforcement have the right to go into your house without a warrant. Don't fight them. Take care of it in court later. I mean, good God.
The TSA's been doing it with
Right, and
with
they're
air travel
testing
for a
that.
while now.
They're testing that water. What are people going to put up with? And we're raising our kids in that environment that it's okay for the police and stop and frisk you. Now, I find that so frightening and so offensive. And I can look back in history because I'm old enough to remember things that have happened. Look at history. Look at what's happened when citizens lose those rights against the government. When the government maintains a monopoly on force and firearms and power, bad things happen. And we're watching it and letting it happen. And it's so frightening and so scary and so depressing. I mean, I was talking to the producer before we came in there, and he's like, "Man, I don't know. I just want to get out of here. I don't even know where I want to go. I just don't want to, live here anymore because it's getting so bad."
Yeah, and that's a good point. I think what I've heard is that there's this feeling that the majority of Americans are starting to jump on this gun control bandwagon, and I don't necessarily think that that's the case. I don't think that's the case. I think between the governments and the media, that's definitely what it looks like.
That's the agenda they're
the
trying to
majority
portray.
of the media definitely is supportive of gun control. They definitely push that message, and that's what the majority of Americans, of ill-informed Americans, are paying attention to.
If the majority of Americans didn't want assault rifles, then the sale of assault rifles, and I use assault rifles only because wouldn't go through the roof.
You're saying that there aren't one or two people that are buying 2 million assault rifles.
I don't think that's the case. I think there's lots of people.
Right.
I know people that would never have thought of buying any kind of sporting black rifle in their entire life and are going out and want to buy one now.
They want to buy them, because it's going to be worth money.
I don't know if it's just financial. Unless they fear a ban.
That
doesn't sound like support.
That
doesn't sound like an acceptance for somebody.
Yeah, somebody who's supporting gun control and assault weapons ban. No, for sure. And this is obvious to us.
And the other thing is, when the rifle goes from $1,000 to $3,000, there's not a lot of people out there buying 1 million of those.
Right. No. Obviously, my example was absurd, and it was to prove your point that there are still millions of people buying assault weapons, whatever the hell assault weapons are. They're basically a hunting rifle that looks differently.
Right.
It's
so frustrating.
Crazy.
I want to throw out there real quick too. I know that in Michigan, I think Michigan Coalition of Responsible Gun Owners, the Second Amendment March, and Michigan Open Carry, I think are going to coordinate, I've heard rumblings, are going to coordinate some kind of event at the Lansing State Capitol sometime in the spring, kind of to protest things. I know there's a national call to have meetups in state capitals on February 8th. So, and I think Michigan is going to do that, but I don't know that any organization is taking the lead on that at this point. I think it's just sort of a grassroots, people show up, not real organized. The problem is that's fine for a lot of places in the country where it's fairly warm and nice. Some of the Midwest and the North and stuff, February 8th tends to be pretty damn cold. So I think that's why some of the Michigan gun groups were looking at the spring, having a more organized, larger event. So check your social media for that, Facebook pages and stuff. Join some gun organizations. I know the NRA has gotten a ton of membership increases. Michigan Coalition has increased their membership. Michigan Open Carry has increased their membership. I'm sure Michigan Gun Owners has done the same. Now's the time to pay your $20-25 a year. They use that money to help fight for your rights. Don't expect to get, a pretty little magazine or a little pin. It's a $25 donation that goes to an organization that will fight for your right to keep and bear arms. So now is the time to go out there and join those organizations, right? Gun Owners of America is another one.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's
the one I like. Yeah, I do too. I think they tend to be less of a compromising gun organization, more in your face than the NRA.
Yeah, and some of the others used to be like that, and we've seen them evolving.
So join the gun organization of your choice, but go out there and if you can't use your time and your efforts and your energy, at least throw them $20-$30. You can afford that.
And they will appreciate the the contribution as much as they would appreciate your time, because it's definitely
well, we know
it's
that
definitely worth it. So I think if you asked any of the leaders, they would say that the money's well worth it.
Yeah.
It's put to good use, and
they use it to try to buy airtime. They get pamphlets, information. They pay for their social media networks. They help buy banners, and they also use it in court cases. I know MOC. We may be facing the Capital Area District Library. That's some news I can give you. The Court of Appeals turned down their request to be heard again, so their next option is to apply to the Michigan Supreme Court and ask for that to be heard. I think that's unlikely that the Supreme Court will hear it. There is a time limit. I think it's like 45 days or so. So in the next couple of months, we'll have news on whether the Supreme Court will hear the case or not. Considering the Court of Appeals used almost the entire Supreme Court's rulings on past issues that dealt with preemption and local unit of governments, I doubt the Supreme Court will hear it, because they'd have to basically overturn all their previous decisions, unless they found some kind of impropriety or some court technical issue, which I don't think there is any. But if they do hear it, then we're going to have to raise money to fight that as well. So check your social media again. You can sign up on Facebook for any of those gun groups to keep informed.
I've got a couple things here. First, I don't want to take up too much of our time with this, but one of our listeners did send me a link to a story. It was actually the story in the Belleville, Illinois incident in the Denny's, proving that I was correct earlier when you said I wasn't, that what I saw was exactly what I said, that they were asked to either put their guns in their cars or leave, and when they were going to leave, another manager stopped them and said, "No, you can stay now." The other manager was wrong, but they were too embarrassed and they left anyway.
I didn't hear that. I heard that the second manager said that they had to put their guns in their car.
No, the second manager said whatever the first person said was wrong.
Okay. I bow down to you. I'm sorry.
Just saying. So I want to thank the listener for that email. That was much appreciated.
Was that your girlfriend?
No, she doesn't listen to the show. We've went over that several times.
Right. She doesn't like you either, so she's not going to try to bail you out. Let him swing.
That's true. So, well, Happy New Year. We didn't even mention that. It's 2013 now.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Mine didn't start out well.
Did you have something that you wanted to talk about? You look like you want to talk.
No, I tripped and fell into the door jamb and hurt my arms and legs and heads and pride. And so I'm sore. Getting back to what I was saying about teachers and guns in schools, I want to put up in Columbus, Ohio. Gun rights group says that more than 750 Ohio educators have expressed interest in a firearms training program. The Buckeye Firearms Association was accepting application for 24 free spots for a 3-day class to train teachers how to use firearms. They had 750 people apply.
Yeah, I think there was a similar situation in
That's
Utah.
going on all over the country. Yep. Lots of states are getting offering classes for free, or at least reduced prices for teachers to get their CPLs and stuff like that. Actually, there's some states that are trying to allow teachers to carry in school. And Texas is one area that has a school district that allows their teachers to be.
That shows you even the teachers who are on the front lines of these tragedies like
recognize a need.
They understand.
Yes.
I've talked to several former teachers who said they definitely would have felt more comfortable and felt more prepared to protect the children that they were teaching if they were allowed to carry some sort of weapon or something to protect themselves with.
The Buckeyes said they had more statistics. They said 40% who signed up were women and 50% were high school student teachers and staff.
Okay.
They were from both urban and rural areas. It was almost even.
Yeah, and that, that tends to not matter so much. I mean, Michael Moore thinks that all the guns are in the suburbs.
Ohio Attorney General Mike DeWine said that if he were a school board member, he would allow teachers to carry in his district.
You know, and Nathan, you bring up a point, too, about Michael Moore. You know, okay, he was saying in his open letter or his diatribe that it's like white people are just fearful of blacks.
Yeah.
Okay, how would that even do with the shooting in Newtown, Connecticut?
Yeah, we've
They're in a white area.
Yeah,
right?
it's a white area done by a white shooter. I didn't see any victims that were black in that crowd.
Yeah.
So how does that indicate racism as being a motivating factor for people wanting to own weapons?
Yeah, and I don't have the clip.
That guy's insane, and nobody challenged the idiot on that in the mainstream press. They just let him go because whenever Michael speaks, he's just a font of intelligence and wisdom.
It was on current.
It was on
TV.
current TV, and he was
Which we hadn't even discussed yet.
No, not yet. But he was promoting Bowling for Columbine because every time there's this mass shooting in a school,
he gets to
he
promote
becomes
his movie.
the expert because he made a movie, a very biased, incorrect movie full of lies,
Actually incorrect.
about the shooting at Columbine, and he basically he said Americans are afraid of the blacks.
You're not getting any feedback from his mic in there because he's got it.
Well, I am. You just bitch about everything.
Okay.
But where was I?
Michael Moore, Columbine, bitch expert.
No,
Always called
that
out.
was you.
No, that's what you said.
Yeah, the other thing he said was that most of the guns are owned in the suburbs, and why do they have them? Because all the white people live in the suburbs, and there's no crime there. Well,
maybe that's why.
that could be part of why.
And there would be no shootings in the cities if there were no guns in the city, so that statement's wrong as well. And the other thing he talked about was when he made Bowling for Dimwits, he said, I wanted to do a spot where I walked into someone's house in Canada, and I just walked in unannounced in the living room, and I was so afraid being an American that I would just be gunned down in the living room. I just couldn't do it until the last day of shooting where I just walked into someone's
house. I
house.
myself to do it.
And Nate and I are like, that's the exact reason we want people not to walk into our house, because they have a fear of being shot.
He completely validated our argument that if you have firearms in your home, or just the thought that you may have firearms in your home,
it's unknown.
People
It keeps you from walking into
people aren't
house.
likely to just walk in.
Would he allow us to walk into his beautiful home here in Torch Lake area?
Probably his armed security.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's fucking insane. Excuse me, he's fucking insane.
Yeah, he is.
That's the point, and he kept saying, and 60% of the homes weren't even locked at 7:30 at night. Did he do a survey? Did he go into 100 homes and came up with a 60%? I don't know where he pulled that number out of his ass.
I guess if he did 2 houses and one of them was kind of locked.
Then it'd be 50-50.
No, it was kind of locked, so he gave it.
Oh, yeah. He's an idiot. And the stuff he spouts is just garbage. It's not backed up by any kind of logic or real numbers or science. And he wants to make money and sell his movie.
Yeah, that's really all it's about. I mean, he pretends like he's passionate about these things, but
in that we're afraid of Native Americans, slaves, and black people. I'm not afraid of any of those because I'm allowed to carry a firearm.
Not any more than any other race,
right,
or any other group.
If a white man is attacking me, I'm not going to say, "Oh, come on now, I'm not going to shoot you. You're a white guy."
And I think it's too. His assertion that we're so racist, whites are so racist, is not borne out by statistics. More blacks attack whites in this country than whites attack blacks, and being the majority of the population.
And most blacks attack blacks.
Yeah, I mean, and most crimes are done by groups within the group. Racial, ethnic, whatever.
Yeah, exactly right.
So his whole argument's so fallacious from beginning to end.
And where does he get this line of thinking without being racist himself? I mean, who comes up with this? That why do white people own guns? It must be because they're afraid of blacks.
And I guess
he must have something going on.
Where the hell is he living at? He's not in the middle of Detroit.
I think he's afraid of blacks.
He's afraid of them.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in Davison.
He grew up in Flint,
he grew up in Davison.
So because he doesn't like black people, he thinks no one else likes black people or fears them. Come on.
Yeah, and obviously we're reaching, but I don't think that's too far from
How come he doesn't live in an area that has a sizable black population? I'm not aware of a sizable black population in that county he was living in.
Yeah,
that's not Baldwin County.
Yeah, right.
Which is on the west side of the state. It's they got a large black population in Baldwin, but
I don't like the guy.
All right, we have about 7 minutes. You want to do the Al Jazeera?
Al
Al
Jazeera,
Gore?
yeah, we can talk about that a little bit.
Al Jazeera, a news agency owned by the Emir of Qatar.
Yes, a terrorist Osama bin Laden supporting, pushing news agency.
No. Dave Marash, former Nightline reporter who worked for Al Jazeera, said that the English network of their company is very, very different than the Arabic one. And that he said that the English one are hypercritical of the U.S. but not anti-U.S. And that just because the Emir of Qatar supports terrorism and terrorist groups doesn't mean that the Al Jazeera English channel is like that in any way.
I mean, it's the same parent company, but
Yeah,
it doesn't mean they have any influence.
No, I'm sure
any
not.
Influence on that, but this was Al Gore's.
Glenn Beck tried to buy it.
Yeah, Al Gore had like a 20% stake. He was the vice president or
he
whatever.
got $1 million.
Glenn Beck.
$100 million. I mean, sorry.
$100 million. Glenn Beck apparently had his people. He didn't do it because he's too rich to.
Sure, he has people.
He had his people call Current. And talk to them about buying it, and they made a pretty sizable offer, and I think higher than what Al Jazeera ended up paying.
I don't know.
Basically, it sounds like the person who answered the phone said, "Hang on, I have to go talk to the executives about this one," because they found out it was Glenn Beck's company, Mercury One.
I actually have a quote.
From who?
From Al Gore's staff.
Okay.
They were turned down. They turned Glenn Beck down.
Right.
Because they said the legacy of who the network goes to is important to us. And we are sensitive to networks not aligned with our point of view. So I guess you could infer from that their point of view is terrorism and the Arab and the Muslim.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they said
philosophy.
Al Gore said that Al Jazeera was founded with ideals that were
similar to
his, and similar to what Current TV was founded with, which is not surprising. What is surprising is that he was so upfront about it, I guess. I mean, if you've ever seen Current TV, it had people like Jennifer Granholm and that, and I think it was probably Rush Limbaugh who asked, is she going to have to wear a burqa now?
I don't know. Al Jazeera,
she's quit or been fired from Current, but whatever. They
plan to euthanize a 7-year-old network and turn it into Al Jazeera America by adding 5 to 10 new U.S. bureaus beyond the 5 that they have now. So they'd have up to 15. More than half of its contents will be U.S. news, and the network will be headquarters in New York.
Yep. So, pretty crazy. I mean,
looking forward to viewing in. I heard that Time Warner is going to drop all the Current TV channels that they have.
Yeah, their ratings were really bad.
Yeah.
Which is obviously why they're going under, but it's pretty terrible. So,
isn't that the second network the leftists have tried to set up and establish, being more blatantly a leftist normal, and it failed? Because then they had one a few years ago, or thing with which Al Franken was on and other people were on. Remember that?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I mean, MSNBC's still around. Terrible ratings, but that's completely left-leaning. I mean,
well, I also like that Al Gore is so green, and he's so anti-global warming, yet he's selling out to an oil-rich ruling class that makes their fortune from fossil fuels that add supposedly to global warming.
The other thing is that he's come out, just like Warren Buffett, it's the same thing, saying that rich people like him and like Warren Buffett need to pay their fair share, pay higher taxes, and he was pushing really hard to get this deal signed before January 1st, when everybody's taxes went up because of the fiscal cliff thing. That didn't happen. I hope it was Al Jazeera kind of giving him one by waiting. They signed it like on the 2nd, I think, so he did have to pay. Well, he should be paying higher tax on that, but he's a hypocrite, just like the rest of these people, like Warren Buffett. They come out and say, "Oh yeah, rich people should pay higher taxes," but then when it comes time where they could pay higher taxes, they don't want that. Yeah. They're generous with everybody else's money.
Yeah,
and that's how all Democrats seem to be. So
well, we're under 2 minutes, right, Director? And
about a minute left, yeah.
yeah, I mean, do we want to add anything? Do we want to say anything? Happy New Year, fiscal cliff. We can't do it.
We don't really have time.
Justice.
Yeah, I mean, there was a bill passed that
All I know is I'm going to be
averted the
paying
fiscal
more than
cliff,
taxes.
but, yeah, everybody's taxes went up
So-
at least 2%.
Mine will go up, they estimate 1.7% overall, and then I'll pay 2% more for Social Security, which you will too.
Yep.
There's other things with capital gains and estate taxes and all that too, so.
Going up, yeah, tax going up on families.
Thank you, Obama.
Making more than
sorry.
$450,000. Yeah, and I don't know why you did that, but something funny. The medical excise tax of 2.3% was showing up on receipts at Cabela's.
I don't know if that's true. Some people were saying
which
that
is a
was
new tax on.
Some people were saying
you
that
know,
was a Photoshop.
supposedly on medical devices that are sold and things. So,
Oh yeah, that is true.
I think we're out of time here, so we want to thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you very much. Remember, we have gift cards, so please call in. You know, I mean, good God, we would love to hear from you.
Just say something intelligent, you'll get one.
Yeah, we want to give these away. We're trying to get people to participate in the show. But until then, we want you to stay armed.
Stay safe.
And stay informed. Bye-bye.